all Americans and for all the world. And the Bush administration rushed, as Sharon said, rushed these sales forward. They rushed them forward without the normal consultation period from the National Park Service. They rushed them forward knowing full well that many of the acres, thousands of the acres that were at stake, contained valuable historic artifacts. But many of these acres, more than 50,000 of the acres that are still remaining up for sale, have been designated as possible wilderness sites. Now, I want to be clear about a few things. They have said, the Bush administration have said, well, there's good news, we've withdrawn some of the parcels. It's a little bit like someone telling you they're going to rob your house, and you say, you really shouldn't rob my house, and they say, well, we're only going to rob part of it. Now, some people have said, well, we'll just wait until there's a new administration, and then we can buy these parcels back. We should not have to buy these parcels back. They should never be sold now or any time in the future. It is a final insult from an administration that has done so much to destroy this country. They've devastated our economy. They've devastated our foreign policy. They've devastated our military readiness. And this final insult would have a legacy beyond any of the aforementioned damages. The people here today who are filing this lawsuit are doing everything they can to stop it, but the American people have an opportunity to do so too. Just a few days from now, these sales will go forward if the Bush administration does not act to stop it. They should act to stop it. The American people have the opportunity to tell them to do so, and we must exercise that right and indeed that responsibility now. If you could visit this and be as affected by it as so many millions of people have, you would understand. I have. It is in my soul, and I will do every single thing I can to stop it. Mo Hinchy from New York, Rush Holt, my colleagues in the House of Representatives, and countless others, Raul Grijalva, have been forefront of this. In the Senate, my good friend and colleague from Washington, Maria Cantwell, has written letters. We are confident that the incoming administration will not let this move forward. But we can stop it right now, and we should stop it right now before the sales go forward and before we have to spend taxpayer money to buy this back. Someone who knows this area even better, far better than myself, and who has been a tireless advocate for the environment and for wildernesses throughout his professional career is Robert Redford. He needs no introduction. We are so honored and privileged that he is here via satellite from Los Angeles. Mr. Redford, thank you for your leadership. We look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you for that. I may not need an introduction, but I kind of like one anyway. I would not want to step. I would not want to step on the eloquence of Congressman Baird and Sharon's testimony here. I'd like to maybe underline a couple of things. The fact that I have spent much of my adult life in these lands. I've hiked it I've been it on foot. I've been horseback. Did a piece for the National Geographic outlining how special this area was. So obviously for me it's an emotional point. In this case, I think we're all now aware that there's nothing new under the sun in terms of this administration's attitude about the environment, their process for going behind our backs, going behind closed doors, starting at the beginning of this administration when our energy policy, which should be ours and ours to sustain ourselves with, was designed behind closed doors with energy companies by Cheney. So you don't look to this administration for a reason, but what you keep getting shocked about is how devious and secretive, and basically, in my mind, morally criminal their behavior has been, particularly when it comes to this area. The fact is that, as far as we know, there's only one planet like ours in the entire universe. Nothing is proved any different. And as far as I know, and others know, anyone who's been there can testify to the fact that there's no place like these lands. These lands are not Cheney's and Bush's. The lands are ours. They're ours because they're part of our legacy. They're part of the human American legacy. No place on earth, for anyone, as Congressman Baird has said, no place on earth can speak to the to the balance of beauty and nature like these areas. And the fact that they would, there's so much deception, so much sleight of hand here. I mean, how would you feel if you had an heirloom that was centuries old in your family and someone came in while you were not looking? Or they distracted you by creating something over here and they took it away from you? How would you feel? This is not their land. It's our land. These are public lands. And the BLM is supposed to be protecting those lands on our behalf. Now, once these lands are taken away, they're gone. And gone doesn't come back. So I feel pretty strongly that we have to do everything. It isn't a question of trying to talk to them. Forget that. That doesn't work. They've been trashing the environment ever since they came in, almost like they had a duty to do so. But when they trash our lands and not theirs and claim it's their prerogative, then something's pretty criminal. So I say stop it. Enough is enough. Not only will it not serve the purpose they keep stating, it's not going to provide any new energy. It's going to pollute what we've already got. And it's going to take away something that's ours to give to our children, their children, and their children, and their children. So I feel pretty strongly about this. I appreciate being given the chance to speak to it. As I said before, it's an emotional situation for me. And we should not allow this to happen. It's criminal. So it's got to be stopped. And the idea, they'll not stop at trying to deceive. The fact that they're doing it on their way out the door. The Bush may be a lame duck, but he can still quack. So I think that's what's happening. And we just can't let it happen. It's our land. Let's keep it. Let's protect it. I was say don't let them use the bogus argument that well, we've cut back the amount of acreage that we're going to drill on, because those sales are simply being deferred, which means they could be sold off in the future. So, like pretty much everything else this administration has done, you have to look at it with a very, very fine-tooth comb to see where the truth is and where the reality is. They can't be trusted in terms of certain kinds of truths. The fact is, it's not going to give us what they claim it's going to give us, and we're going to be wiping out something that is irreplaceable. It makes no sense.
Can you hear me?
You just asked the question if I need to repeat it.
Eric Bontrayer with Greenwire. President-elect Obama has announced that Ken Salazar is going to be the new Interior Secretary. What kind of support do you think you'll get from him, who has, in the past, been a proponent of opening up our natural resources on public lands? How much support do you think you'll get to be able to curtail this sale?
Well, we have in Senator Salazar an incoming secretary who knows the value of wild lands. He knows the western lands. He knows the communities there. He knows and shares President-elect Obama's vision of a new energy economy and the critical role that America's public lands play in that. So in contrast to the Bush officials rushing to put these wildlands, Utah's wildlands, on the auction block, what we have in Salazar and Obama are new leaders who recognize that we need to move toward clean energy to both restart the economy and cut global warming, and that we can and we must do it in a way that protects our land, our air, our water, and our cultural resources.
Do you want to comment?
Well, I think there's broad consensus within the United States Congress that there are areas of this country in which oil and gas exploration makes perfect sense. My belief is, as Mr. Redford's been saying, and so many of us who know this area well, this is not one of those areas. The areas that have been designated through these lease proposals are not those areas. And my hope is that we will be able to communicate that to Mr. Salazar. I think he's going to be an outstanding choice for Secretary of the Interior. And I can tell you that those of us who are so passionate about this issue will be in urgent and early conversation with both incoming Secretary Salazar and the Obama administration overall. The important point now is, though, this should not ever have to reach Mr. Salazar's desk. This can be stopped now. The administration, with the stroke of a pen, can stop this sale now, and we don't have to worry about the incoming administration. We should not leave one more debt to be solved by this administration. Here's one where we can stop it, where the American people want to stop it, and we want to reverse this direction. We can do it now.
I would add to that the fact that, because I know Senator Salazar, I've been in support of him. When you stop and think about the bigger picture, that America is, the real question that we've had to face in the future is, since we're a development-oriented society, we always have been, what is it, when we look to the future, what are we going to develop for our survival, and what are we going to preserve for our survival? I think the preservation part of it has kind of been dropped away, particularly in the last 8 years. I think President-elect Obama, we all know that he has a tough job ahead of him. But so far, I think what he's showing is that he recognizes the value at this time of balance. I think Salazar represents a good balance, because he has already rejected attempts to drill on the Colorado Plateau. So I think he's already sent signals about how he feels about this. He also comes from it legitimately, being from a ranching family, generations of ranchers. He understands agriculture. He understands the value of land. I don't think they farmed oil rigs. So I'm pretty encouraged by Salazar. It may be controversial in some places, but not for me. I think very highly of him.